Yeah, I like to draw quite often. Different types of things. Sometimes people, cars, houses. Just again, I'm into a lot of different things to sketch. I have no particular field. I do think I specialize in portraits, like just trying to replicate people's features. But that's just my opinion. So about it must have been several, possibly yeah. I think even from last year. These are not recent, but I just want to kind of highlight some Rosalynn Carter drawings I have. This first one is her side profile with uh, Vice President Mondale and the state of Minnesota. Just the outline of it. I had never drawn Mondale prior to this, so it's not going to be of the greatest quantity, or I guess quality, I should say. And he has this gray hair, or had gray hair that kind of. I don't think it was all the way gray, so it was kind of difficult to portray, that look of it. But I like it. I think I'm most impressed by her side profile because there's a picture of her where she's like sitting down talking to somebody that I used as the reference uh, for it. And even though Mondale probably is um, not my favorite VP, I think that's a role that I'd have to actually sit here and kind of debate about. I still respect him in terms of his role in making the vice president a more powerful position than it had been in the past, and just really think he should be talked about more for that and not just remembered solely for the 1984 disaster. This was a self-portrait with Rosalynn. I would say this probably has my favorite likeness of her from any of the different drawings I've done up to this point. It's like from last year all the way up until now. Um, there's a picture of her, and look, I'm 6'2". President Carter was 5'9". There's a picture of her with President Carter, and they're together. I don't know if they're in the Oval Office, but there's two variations of this photo. Where in the first one she is, got like the white long sleeve top on, and then the other one she has this kind of red coat jacket over it. I'll look for the photo later, but I use that as the basis for her hair, and I like that picture a lot because her hair changes quite a bit over the course of the Carter presidency. It's not really something I would pay much attention to if it weren't for just looking for different reference photos and images to use, and noticing that the way she looks in 76, 77, 78 is not the same as how she looks in 1980, for example. um, but yeah, I drew this to just, I guess, maybe feel a little bit more of a connection with a lot of this stuff. I always feel a sort of displacement, and it's nice to kind of be glued into it in a little bit more of a personal way. I will say I made some modifications to her outfit. She had in the image, this kind of like belt that was, I'd say, a more like a bigger variety of colors. I made it more simplistic. Um, yeah, I like the shading. I made sure to have the shading on her left side be darker, right, to reflect that someone, there's like an image obscuring. There's a person there who is obscuring light by standing so close to her side. And of course, I have the her hand around my waist, and for me, I guess if I could kind of explain it this way, I am someone who has not had intimacy in like a friendly way with like a lot of people, including even most of my family. So even just the gesture of touching someone like that, like a hug or these other things, they really stand out a lot in my mind. Like if you like just to be held by someone, to for a moment or two while taking a picture, um, and it's, I guess that's why I did it that way. I just want to kind of convey this this pose that might be considered more intimate than it actually is, but it has a special meaning to me because I just frequently feel almost like a ghost from the lack of connection. And the last one is her wearing my clothes with Ted Kennedy. I like to draw other people wearing my stuff because, again, it kind of like goes back to the idea of intimacy, right? Of just kind of, hey, this is not someone. I shouldn't say intimacy. I guess it's more. It makes things more real for me. Like, hey, what would this person look like if they wore this? One of my criticisms of United States culture is that women have a very large, diverse variety of hairstyles and clothes, right? Pants, skirts, dresses, different types of shoes, high heels, flats. And then with men, especially in like these professional or business type settings, it's short hair. Maybe you get to have a beard. Maybe your suit is not black, but if it's not black, it'll be gray or blue or, some other muted color. And you'll have some dress shoes. Just it's reflective of like more so a desire to just have some variety. As an artist, I like to draw different things, and I really hate that anytime you draw a U.S. politician, a male one anyway, you're always going to be left to the same couple of trends. Like if you're drawing someone like Ted Kennedy, for example, who was a senator for almost 47 years, there will be variety in terms of like if you're drawing him young, if you're drawing him, in the 80s, the 2000s, just the different looks he had in terms of his, face. But there's still not going to be any variety in terms of what he has on. It'll always be some suit of a dark color, and it's generic. And I like to, with Rosalynn, right, kind of show what would my outfit look like on someone else, even though I'm sure as a woman she probably wouldn't have the top buttons undone or whatever, just whatever. But just I like to see what these things would look like on someone else. The picture I used for her was based off of, I think it was, I don't know if it was some kind of appearance she had at one of President Carter's speeches where you could get her side profile, and she was kind of like just kind of standing there watching the speech and clapping, and I use that as the image for here. But yeah, I like it. I put her with Ted Kennedy because she actually did have a good working relationship with him before he launched his 1980 primary campaign. And also, I really just wanted to, get some more variety. Like, what I like to do is look at the different essential people to that time, right? Because if you're thinking about the Carter era, obviously the president and first lady come to mind, but Ted Kennedy was a significant figure in that period, and many other, eras of different presidents as well. So I didn't mean to go on that little tangent, but I if I draw like myself or some other male wearing female clothing, it's not about being transgender or wanting to switch to something. It's literally just, I like the variety of having more stuff to wear, and I wish that men didn't have only the same 2-3 different options and then women have like 300. That's just my personal belief.